I can't believe this is the last episode of the year. And I'm here with wonderful Sabine, and we're here to just talk a little bit about how this year has been, what our experience has been with this podcast, and what it's meant for us, and what it may mean for us moving forward as we get into 2026. So, Sabine, how are you today?
I'm really well. I'm super happy that we are yet again together here to record another episode. And yes, this is a very special one. So looking forward to what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes.
I want to talk about how this journey started because I feel like it is so important. The message here is all about how things can start without much planning and without much resource, and how a small idea, a small spark can become something bigger than you imagine and still be just the beginning of who knows what else, right? So we met a year ago at a conference and we hit it off. We moderated a panel together and I had an idea. And because I wanted to play with a podcast and I knew that I could record easily on my computer and I could edit easily using I just wanted someone to do it with me. When I met Sabine, I was like, she's it because she can do improvisations. She speaks really well. She talks sense. I like her vibe. She's all about growth mindset. I'm technology. I feel like this might be something. So I literally, Sabine, if you remember, sent you a voice message saying, "Hi, Sabine, I don't know you very well, but I really enjoyed spending the 30 minutes we spent together at the event and the panel we moderated together, or the panel we were on together. And I feel like there's an idea here to take forward." And that was when I literally just splurted out 2 minutes of what I think this should be. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to think I'm crazy. Who's this girl just approaching me to do this now? Commit to a podcast. But I was so pleasantly surprised to hear when you replied saying, I love the idea, let's do it. And here we are today. We have recorded pretty much every week for the last 45 weeks. So, all in all, we've done really, really well. And we've talked about so many things at the intersection of AI and human intelligence. And the premise of this podcast has not been just AI technology or human intelligence, but really, what does it mean as we enter this AI first world? And what does it mean for us as a society, as a human race, and about us as individuals and who we want to be in this world? And we've just been exploring this over the last year, and we've talked about so many things. I'm just really, really grateful that we did this with no particular plan, with no agenda, but to talk about what matters to us and who we are becoming as we move into this AI first world.
I do remember that too, Abha, that I responded to you with, I love that idea, because that was my very first thought when you approached me. And I have to admit, I thought, okay, all right, yeah, I don't really know her, but yeah, we did have fun on that conference at that panel. And in all honesty, I had been thinking about podcasts for quite a while, around that time, anyways, because people started to talk about podcasts. There were so many out there. I heard many people who were listening to podcasts. But I thought, and that's exactly where you helped me so much, I thought doing a podcast requires a very professional setup. It requires going to a studio. It requires lots of time for scripting, for example. And all of that ultimately was unnecessary. And I remember how you and me, we went into planning for the first episodes and we were a bit more, let's call it diligent around them, because we started around thinking, okay, how much do we actually script this? Do we really want to write out in detail who says what? But we found out very early on, thankfully, that we are just really able to flow together. So as long as we know what the topic is, or sometimes we actually just completely jumped in and said, "Hey, how about we talk this right about this right now?" And it worked perfectly. That also contributed to me just enjoying to do this so much, even though in the end it was quite a lot of time ultimately if you put everything together, because we did meet every Tuesday. And that's what I loved about us doing this together as well, because we were always able to rely on each other. When we said we're going to meet here and then, we did do that. I think it was only one, maximum two occasions where we had to change around something spontaneously or where it couldn't take place. But if you think of the 45 episodes that we published, that's really an absolute minimum, having to change one or two appointments around. And I really want to salute us because what I really admired, for example, was our amazing planning around holidays. So we always managed to record for 6 weeks in a row or on stock pretty much when we knew, okay, summer holidays are coming around, but we just still wanted to be there for our audience because it was important for us to be there and to be reliable with the content that we provided as well. So I did learn a lot this year. And I think what really helped me was to also go into this without much of an expectation. I was just curious. I wanted to see, okay, how is this actually going to pan out? What is it like to record a podcast? Is it going to be fun? Is it just going to be work? What are going to be the reactions that we're receiving from the audience? So it was a very, very interesting year for me.
It just goes to show that to be able to do anything in this day and age, all you need is a little bit of curiosity, the willingness to commit to it, to commit to following that curiosity, and then a little bit of discipline. You really don't need anything else. You don't need much money. This podcast costs us pretty much nothing. We pay between us maybe for two tools. We pay for Buzzsprout, which is the distribution platform for this, and we pay for a tool to record this, which is Zoom. That's pretty much all our costs, which is incredible. The fact that we don't need a studio, we don't need professional settings, we don't need lighting, we don't need a professional editor. We don't need literally anything, just the willingness to show up every week and film something. And again, it goes to show that in this day of technology where everything is accessible to us, literally, there are no more barriers to doing anything you want to do. Like you said, you followed your curiosity to see how this worked out. I wanted to do a podcast as well. But again, I didn't know if I had the bandwidth for it. I didn't want to rent a studio and have that investment. I didn't want that level of commitment. I didn't want to sit and script. And it's been amazing to know that we can free flow. And I've actually recognized that I'm really bad with following a script. So that's been a huge learning for me because I can't follow a script. I mean, as we go into 2026, I want you to think about these things that you don't need very much to achieve anything you want to achieve. And as we are reflecting, and I'm sure all of you are as we're coming to a close of 2025, and as we're thinking about what we're going to do in 2026, I urge you all to think about not where the gaps have been, but where have you gained? Like, what have you achieved? And give yourself a pat on the back because this year has been tough for many people. Lots of things have happened. Technology has just really changed how we do everything. Life is getting busier and busier. A lot of us have kids. We have more than one, two, three kids. We have school commitments. We have work commitments. We have family commitments. So, business has been up and down for many people. So, I really want to take this opportunity to just urge everyone who's been listening that as you get into 2026 and you reflect and you plan for it, please spend some time thinking about where have you been this year, what have you achieved, and what you should really salute so that we can use that as momentum getting into 2026. And that's really been the premise of this podcast. As we enter a world that is so rapidly changing, who do we want to be? And one of the themes that has literally connected all our episodes this year has been intention. Where do we want to put our intention? Because in this very, very busy world that we're living in, that's only getting faster and busier with more opportunities, it's all great, but it can be overwhelming. So in this world, where can we stop and decide where we want to be intentional?
This, I believe, is always going to be one of the key questions that we need to ask ourselves. And as you rightfully said, ideally take a break and just take a step back and really consider where are you right now? How satisfied are you with where you are right now? And what do you want to change? but also what do you want to keep doing, right? It's not just always about finding the flaws. It's not just about finding things that we have not ended up doing. For example, the diet we didn't follow through with, or the platform that we paid money to use, but we ended up not using it at all, things like this. Those things happen, and it's absolutely normal and natural that they do, and it's fine. But don't put too much emphasis on those. Take a look at everything that has worked so well this year. And it's not just about the huge projects, it might as well just be about smaller things. For example, a new behavior or habit that you started. For example, having managed to quit coffee for 2 months in a row. Or, for example, taking in less sugar. Or having been able to actually post on LinkedIn every single day for the first time in your life over the course of 3 months. Those are things that are very easy to forget. So when you take a look back at 2025, really also consider the day-to-day things that you've managed super well. Hey, all your kids made it through school and they are still healthy. That's amazing. That's an achievement as well. You've managed to take all of the important doctor appointments. That's great too, because ultimately everything demands our focus and our time. It's not just always about huge success, but it's about the small things too.
It might be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about how are we, each of us, reflecting this year? Like, what is your process? For example, do you sit down and journal your entire year, or what is your process? Like, for example, for me, I don't do this well enough, and it's something I do want to do this year. Last year, my way of reflecting on the year was I took an Excel sheet and I looked at the whole calendar and I literally wrote down every day what I did. Now, when I say what I did was, I have, because in my calendar, I have all the events I attended, all the events I spoke at, all the products I launched, all my courses I've launched, all the workshops I've done. So I just put that all together to see everything I did. And that's when last year, when I did this exercise, I recognized that I did 58 workshops.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. And it reminded me to recognize that that's why I'm so tired. But it's so great that I did it. And it really helped me look back at everything I've achieved and make me recognize that this year I don't want to do 58 workshops. So I think I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to take my calendar and just look at everything I delivered professionally and personally, the big milestones, and then see what that means for me next year. Do you have any process, Sabine, that maybe is a bit more structured than mine?
Well, unfortunately, I have to disappoint you here. So, what I'm
What?
actually doing is reflection during the year because I'm using a good old-fashioned paper performance planner, which has a weekly overview, a weekly review, a planning for the next week, and then the same for the month. So, it also includes a monthly review and then a planning for the next month. So, I am basically reviewing continuously throughout the year, which is great because it just really helps me to keep track of things in the moment. And it also helps me to make smaller adjustments when I can see in retrospective of 4 weeks, for example. So that's what I do. What I love to do as well is to actually put up a little planner for myself. I usually have that directly on the wall where I put my monthly goals. And then by the end of the month, I'm reviewing, okay, how am I actually doing? Is this still realistic? Or do I need to adjust something here? And that's helping me as well. So I'm basically a fluid reflector, if you want to call it that. And what I've also managed this year, and I'm actually quite proud that I did that, for the first year in about 25 years now, I have used my diary every single year, every single day, which is great. So I have literally been sitting down every evening and I have just written what I've done that day, what was great, what I really enjoyed. And I think the beauty and why it works for me is that it's called the 5-year diary. So you have a page with 5 lines and every line represents 1 year. So you basically have like this much of space only to write about your day, which isn't much, which is probably why it's so enticing to write about it because you know you don't have to fill pages, you just have to fill a few lines. And so I've done that, and that was actually helping me to also let go of the day and to be able to rest faster at night and to find my way into sleep. And there is one additional thing that actually it was my health coach who recommended that to me, to start another just plain notebook and use it for brain dumps. So before I go to bed, I'm just putting everything that's in my head at the moment for, let's say, the next day, like things that, oh, I know I need to do that tomorrow. I just write it down as a literal brain dump. And then I close that notebook with this physical act and I put it away. And it really works. I do feel much more relieved. And I know, okay, I've thought of everything I need to do today, tomorrow. Now I can just really go to sleep. So there are different ways of course, how you can reflect on everything, how you can plan everything. And I believe that ultimately everyone has to find their own way. I love your idea of going through the calendar and just really counting what has been happening to really get that accumulated view of things. For me personally, I don't think I would have the patience to do that. I would probably give up after a month or so.
No, and I'm actually thinking that that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. Like, oh my God, I have this colossal task of looking at my whole year in one day. So I don't advise it to be the best way forward, but I have not had the diligence and or the intention to make it a monthly or a weekly thing. And maybe that's something I need to consider for 2026 because coming to the end of the year, looking at reflection, it can be quite overwhelming to be like, okay, where do I start? So luckily everything is in my Google Calendar. So I'll just have to go back in my calendar and look. But yeah, it probably would be more effective to do it on a monthly basis like you do. So I think I might look into that moving to 2026. But what's been interesting in this conversation right now is that neither of us really use technology to reflect, where literally you're using a notebook and a diary and I'm using an Excel sheet. So again, it goes to show that you don't need to find a tool that's going to help you reflect, or you don't need to find an app that's going to help you do things better. You just need to do them. And again, is it worth your time looking for a tool or looking for an app to help you do it? Now, maybe you don't have that inclination to do it yourself, or the fact that you don't have a structure makes you go all over the place. In that case, all you need to find is a structure. So like Sabine said, you have your 5-year plan structure, and then you have a weekly and monthly structure of some sort, which you've made yours. So what can you find that can help you do that? And maybe that's in a tool, maybe it's not, but I think what I want to say is that don't spend too much time looking for something to help you. Just pick one thing and just get on with it, because it's so easy to go into rabbit holes no matter what we want to do now, because of the volume of information that's available to us, the volume of tools, the volume of advice. When you go online or if you subscribe to any newsletters, you're going to see all these reflections on how my year was and what I'm doing 2026. And this is the tool that I used, and this is what helped me, and this is a training I can offer you. So, again, don't spend too much time on it. Just pick one thing and run with it so that you can enter 2026 with a fresh mind. And I think one last thing I want to say is let's not forget to take a small break before the end of year. And I want to say let's take a break from everything, technology, AI, because I think for all of us, it's been such a overwhelming year when it comes to change. So a little bit of disconnection might do everyone good. And nobody does any work the last week of December. Let's all admit it. I mean, there will be people selling stuff, and of course, there are sales going on, but technically, everyone's in holiday mode. So let's not forget to take some time to ourselves.
That is very true. And also looking into 2026, but this is a conversation that we had, right? Because we were reflecting on how we did the podcast this year, what all we took away from it, how it went for us. But also exactly that consideration which comes to how much time do we invest and how does it fit into everything else that we're doing? Because thankfully, 2025 has been quite successful for both of us. But that also means that we do have a good amount of things on our plate. And that is why we have decided to go into monthly episodes for 2026. So we will have more time to plan what we are going to present to you, our beloved audience. And we are extremely grateful whenever you're sharing any feedback with us, any opinion that you're having around the content that we deliver to you, because ultimately we're doing this for you. Of course, it's a lot of fun for Abba and me, and I believe one of the main benefits we've taken away from this is the growing friendship between us, even though that's really something that was probably not so expected when you reached out to me and you asked me about the podcast. But that is what we have talked about for 2026 so far. And of course, for everything else, we will keep you updated. One thing that we will not change in 2026, though, is the overall idea of what our podcast, Who Do You Want to Be, is about. We will still be talking about how you can align and make the best of a combination of using AI tools whilst improving your mindset around different things, your own understanding of how you're approaching life in itself, how you're approaching work, and ultimately, as Abba already said, becoming aware of what your intentions are and how can you best live by your intentions. So this is definitely what we will keep bringing to you in 2026, and we are very much looking forward to filling this space with you going forward. And for now, we wish you a wonderful Christmas time and a very happy New Year.